You are Locked On Marlins Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Miami on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What is up, Fish fans? Welcome to another episode of your Locked On Marlins Postcast. My name is Jim Greasehaber. Call me Grease, and wow, what an ending to the 2024 season series against the Pittsburgh Pirates in Pittsburgh. It ends today, and yeah, the Marlins end up 0-7 against the Pirates this season. They started this season losing 4 in a row to the Pirates, and guess what? They end the season series against Pittsburgh being swept 3 games in a row in the Steel City, and that's how it went down. You can see the rundown up there. We got a lot to talk about this one today. Historic futility for the Marlins, and now they go to Washington to face a team they're 1-8 against this year after just losing 3 in a row. It's a team they're 0-7 against. My name is Jim Greasehaber. Call me Grease. This is Locked On Marlins Postcast on the Locked On Podcast Network. Want to thank you for being here again, day in, day out, especially you Marlins fans, you everydayers in particular. What a year it's been, but you've been here every day. And hey, they do get the tying and go-ahead runs to the plate, don't they? They did it yesterday, they did it today, and they just weren't able to come through with the big hit today. But we are here every day for you, free, available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And you everydayers know we are seeing it through until the very end. And hopefully we get some good things happening before the end of the season. Today's episode in particular is brought to you by Game Time. What time is it? Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase with Game Time. What time is it? Game Time. Got that like the Guayabera on today, right? Check that out. That's the mint green. I don't know if you guys can get that and feel that. We got the beige one the other day, but today it's the green, the mint green right here for you on the Locked On Marlins Postcast. Jim Greasehaber, call me Grease, and a tough go for Miami, of course, today. And the Pirates finish off the perfect season against Miami this afternoon in Pittsburgh. It's a getaway day, so obviously it's an earlier start. And, yeah, man, those early starts are tough sometimes. But a perfect season for the Pirates against Miami. Now, keep in mind, the Pirates completely faded from the playoff race. They made the trade for DLC, and and Brian De La Cruz from the Marlins. They want to add a piece here and there. They had Paul Skeens going strong, all-star starter, comes on partway through the year and gives them all kinds of hope with McCutchen having another pretty good year. And you're thinking like, yo, the Pirates will be all right. You know what I mean? Reynolds having a big year, and Falters, who had another big start today. More on Bailey Falters in a minute. He did not falter today. We'll just say that. But the Pirates did falter, and they're way out of the race, but the Marlins even that much further, and they had an awful time today. The Marlins finally scored in the 9th inning. Christian Pache with an RBI single chases closer David Bednar. And that should say that shouldn't say Bender. I don't know where that came from. I think that was auto spell. That should say Bednar. Okay, so we'll get that here fixed. Bednar. We got that fixed, and we will save that. And then yeah, so you know what? It was tough all the way across the board. They weren't hitting the ball. They had the leadoff runner on every inning, just about. It was, I think, 4 times in 7 innings, 5 times maybe even, that Bailey Falter had the leadoff runner on base. But we'll keep that going. Pache's RBI single scores Otto Lopez with 2 outs in the score 3-1. And Otto Lopez had just doubled to center field. And Otto Lopez had an interesting game. We're going to get to him in just a minute. But here's the story of the game. Like, the real story of the game. And look, in the 9th inning, the Marlins get those guys to the plate, right? And you have Pache's RBI single. Lopez scores after the double, right? Jalen Beeks comes on. He faces Kyle Stowers. Stowers gets an infield single right behind the bag at second to load the bases. Beeks gets Xavier Edwards to fly out to end the game. And Edwards was a pinch hitter today, got 2 at-bats. But the only RBI for Miami today was Pache, and he had 2 hits to lead the Marlins. And, of course, that was, a futility at its finest today. Falter was fantastic. Let's talk about Bailey Falter. Bailey Falter's the star of the game today. Bailey Falter's the guy in this game today, without a doubt. Bailey Falter did not falter. Bailey Falter with a no-hitter through 6 1/3 innings, his career best start. Now, he's had 5 starts this year, 5 starts of 7 innings or more, but this was his best one. And he's an inning eater for Pittsburgh, right? Taken out of the game in the 7th, but a no-hitter through 6 1/3, career best start, no runs, 2 hits, 7 1/3 innings, struck out 5, walked 3, had like 19 swings and misses today. Not a ton of strikeouts, especially facing a team like the Marlins. Those guys strike out a lot, but yeah, man, he's taken out of the game in the 7th. Kyle Stowers flew to center. Colin Holderman comes in, and yeah, man, he closes the door in that inning. Got Xavier Edwards on a fielder's choice. Hit Griffin Conine with a pitch. Connor Norby then grounds to third to end the inning. Good to see Connor back in there. Fouled the ball off his foot the other night off schemes. The ball's coming a billion miles an hour. But you think about Falter, right? In the 6th inning, the Marlins really gave him a gift. And you think of the way the game ended. It's 3-1, right? It's 3-1, the final score. And when you look at the end of the game and how it happened in that 9th inning, right? I mean, this is really interesting because they could have scored a run in the 6th, but they end up, right, after Lopez doubles, Berger gets safe on a fielding error by IKF, the shortstop for Pittsburgh, Kiner Falefa. Bride strikes out swinging. Sanchez strikes out swinging. 2 outs, but Pache singles to center. Lopez scores, Berger to second. Stowers reaches on the infield single. Berger goes to third. Bases are loaded, right? Well, what happens? Edwards flies out to right. So bases are loaded. It's a 2-run game. Base hit ties it. Double probably pulls you. Double definitely. Well, not definitely, but probably puts you ahead. And then, you know, obviously the home run puts you way ahead. But they had the go-ahead run on first, the tying run on second. Seemingly they do that every single night. Edwards got decent swing on it, but you know was not able to do it. But in the 6th inning, the Marlins really gave Pittsburgh a gift and falters. And this is where you really get in trouble, right? In the 6th inning, a gift, like they hand wrapped, right, with a bow on it. And Otto Lopez leads off with a walk, and he's in the middle of this one, unfortunately, right? Well, Jake Berger flies to center on a 2-0 pitch. Hit it pretty hard. This line drive more than a flyout. Most flyouts are line drives in Major League Baseball, but Jonah Bride comes up and then breaks up Falter's no-hitter. And it's a single to left field. Not a super hard hit ball, but it's in front of the left fielder, Billy Cook. Well, what does Otto Lopez do? Otto Lopez tries to take third base. Number one, when you're on first base and there's a base hit and the ball's in front of you to left field, you do not try to go to third on a base hit to left unless you are Ricky Henderson or Ellie De La Cruz or somebody like that, and everything goes out the window. Every once in a while, you get thrown out. No one says anything because most of the time you're safe. My coach used to say, if you're going to run, you better be safe. Don't even come back to the dugout if you're out on a ball like that. That is so fundamentally wrong. And the Pirates announcers, watching this game on Pittsburgh's telecast, the Pirates announcers were saying this. Guys make it through the levels of the minors into Major League Baseball without knowing how to play the game, without knowing how to really play the game. Situations, knowledge, and it happens again, man. What a disaster for Otto Lopez to do that. You run the Marlins right out of an inning, man. Otto Lopez leads off with a walk in that inning. He leads off with a walk, okay? Wait a second. I'm sorry, guys. That was give me a second here. I just changed that. This was actually the 7th inning, not the 6th inning. So I had the inning wrong. Okay, so it's actually the 7th inning that this happened. Forgive me. It was the 7th, not the 6th. Falter still pitching for Pittsburgh. Lopez leads off with a walk. He did a good job drawing the walk. He later doubled. He's had a pretty decent year, Otto Lopez. Berger lines out the center on the 2-0 pitch. Hit it hard. No beef there. All right, Jonah Bride singles to left. Lopez gets thrown out at third. You got to stay on second there. It's first and second. You are on first base. It's first and second with 1 out. Sanchez grounds to the pitcher. You don't do anything. Not saying you were definitely going to score there, but you had a better chance and you could have pushed a run across that really would have come in handy later. So how many times are you going to see guys swing at 3-0 pitches down 2 runs or more, run into an out at third base, running into the second out when you're down 2? If you're down 1 and that runs everything, I can see it a lot more. But even then, he had no chance to make it. This was a bad play all the way across the board by Otto Lopez, and I've seen too many of them this year by your Miami Marlins. You're watching your Locked On Marlins postcast. Jim Greasehaber, call me Grease. The Marlins, a new level of futility. They did not use their 70th player today. They will, and they'll break the Cubs record from 3 years ago, but today they didn't. Today, they went 0-7 on the season against the Pirates. Today, they let Pittsburgh finish off the 3-game sweep in the Steel City. And now they go to Washington where they're 1-8 against the Nats this year. They're not 1-8 in Washington this year, 1-8 against the Nats. You're watching Locked On Marlins postcast. What happened? What did Bailey Falter do so well today to handcuff and stymie the Marlins offense throughout 7 1/3 innings? I'll break that down on the other side. Locked On Marlins Postcast. You everydayers know your team every day. But first, what time is it? You know what time it is. It is there it is. Okay, guys, sorry about that. All right. Sometimes things go really slow in the computer out of nowhere. It's just, come on. And it's already open. The tab's already open. And then you hit it and it's, come on, load. But they cannot stop the movement that is Game Time. Nothing can do it. No matter what you try, you're not going to stop Game Time. As a kid, I went to games all the time. My dad took me on trips around the country to go to stadiums. My grandfather took me to Red Sox games trying to brainwash me from being a Yankees fan, which did not work, even though he's my hero and my idol. I went to football games with my stepfather and my stepbrothers in Foxborough every year when there were actually no Patriots fans. Kind of like now. But I saw the great Dan Marino every year in Foxborough. We always went. We had to order the tickets in advance. They're coming in the mail. You're waiting at the box office. You're in line all day. You ever wait in line for tickets in December in Foxborough for an hour? No. Now we have Game Time. Game Time has so many things that make your experience so much better. Trust me, I know. I use the app all the time. They have Game Time picks. I'm going to tell you about Game Time picks in a minute. But first things first, I have to tell you about Game Time's features within the app. You get panoramic seat views of every seat. Can you imagine the old Sullivan Stadium with the metal bleachers in the winter? Hey, I can see every... No, not now. I was at the snowplow game, by the way. Shout out to the snowplow game. But look it up if you don't know. But I'll say this, all right? With Game Time, you get views from every seat. Look at that, panoramic views from every seat. So you can see what you're going to see before you buy the ticket, right? That's my favorite part. You get the lowest price guarantee, or you get 110% of the difference refunded to you and a credit from Game Time. You get covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry, and you get all-in pricing. Shows you the total up front, no surprise fees. At checkout, you must turn on the feature to include Game Time picks, right? But here's the best part. You must include this feature to get the all-in pricing. Game Time picks is curation, all right? I got so excited about it, I got ahead of myself. It's curation. It makes it easier to save because it will only show you what you want. It'll show you the seats you want, the prices you want, whatever you want for concerts, comedy, theater, and, of course, sporting events. So you know what to do. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. What time is it? Game Time on the Locked On Podcast Network. And real quick, Jim Greasehaber, call me. Grease, going to leave that overlay up there because you need to get to Game Time. But I want to remind you about your second listen for the day. We love that you make Locked On Marlins Postcast your first view, your first listen. We're free, available wherever you get your podcast. But for your second listen / watch or listen to the Locked On MLB podcast. It's Paul Sullivan, a.k.a. Sully. He's here daily, going to give you national expertise with that sense of humor. Funny dude, going to help you get ready for the playoffs, the Fall Classic. He's got it covered every single day on Locked On MLB, available on YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. And that's part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. That is right. Jim Greasehaber, call me Grease. You're Locked On Marlins Postcast on your Wednesday, September 11th. And real quick before I continue, I would like to give a huge piece of my heart and and thoughts and prayers and all that to anybody who's watching right now or listening right now who lost anybody on 9/11, was impacted personally. Anybody who still feels the effects of that, I remember exactly where I was and what I was doing that fateful morning. And to all the people who lost their lives, the ultimate respect. And to all the people who have helped since then make the world a safer place, keep us safe, whatever the case might be, whatever the political divides are, whatever is going on in the world or in this country, always try to remember, if you were there and you were here at that time, what the mood was after 9/11. I've spent my whole life struggling since then, wondering why we can't act toward each other like we did in the days and weeks following 9/11, why we can't treat each other like that and act like that toward each other all the time in this country. It was the one time in my life when, man, it felt amazing to be an American because we all came together. We all loved each other. We put everything aside. And if we could only do that now and just live that way permanently, man, John Lennon would actually stop rolling over in his grave and he'd have the biggest smile on his face, because imagine would have come true like it did right after 9/11. We will never forget. And we appreciate all that. So continuing with your Locked On Marlins postcast, Jim Greasehaber, call me Grease. Who is this Bailey Falter? Man, the dude is he's 8-7 on the year with a 4.20 ERA. We know what he's doing tonight. 4.20 ERA. Just kidding. It's a joke. Don't cancel me. He's 6'4", 205, 27 years old, lefty from Chino Hills, California. He looks the part. He fits the part. Every single thing is pretty much, what you would expect from a guy like Bailey Falter physically. But Bailey has faltered plenty of times this year. And look, he's started a lot of games for the Pirates. The season stats on him: 128 2/3 innings pitched. He's got 89 strays, not a strikeout pitcher. He pitches to contact. He's given up 125 hits, about a hit an inning, 39 walks, more than a base runner per inning. So his ERA is up there, but he has had some games this year, no runs, 1 run, 2 runs, a lot of those quality starts. So many of his starts have been quality starts. Now you've got how many games started? Let's see, 1, 6, 11, 16, 18, only 2 starts in August. Or July, rather, only 2 starts in July. From the 6th to the 30th, 24 days, he was off IL there. Yeah, so look at all those starts. And, he's had quality starts in almost all of them. He has had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 starts, including opening day when the Marlins roughed him up for 6 earned runs on 6 hits. And the Pirates came back to get the win 9-7. Don't think Falter wasn't thinking about that. So all but 6 of his starts have been quality starts. And that's 6 innings or more, 3 runs or less. So he's been really good all year for the Pirates. His last time out against Washington, he only went 5 at 7 hits, 3 earned runs, 7 hits, 4 earned runs, and 4 against Cleveland before that. 6 hits, 5 earned runs against Cincinnati prior to that. So today was his first good start. And even before that, on 11th against the Dodgers, he gave up 4 earned runs in 7 hits in 4 innings. Hadn't gone more than 6 innings in a long time, man. And his good start in that stretch went 5 2/3, allowed 8 hits, 2 runs against Seattle. So he had been getting ripped lately. He had literally been getting ripped. His last really good start, he hadn't had one in a long time, since coming off the list, really. He went 2 innings on the 6th of August against the Padres. So didn't really have a good start until today, since coming off that injured list. And of course, it comes against your Miami Marlins. But the thing about Falters that I love, or Bailey Falter, falters. He didn't falter. But the slider is about 85, 86, and it'll put you to sleep. That's not a hard slider. You got a 91 on the 4-seamer, right? And this is what he's got. He's got a 4-seamer and a slider. He'll throw a curveball at 78 to mix it up for you, but a 4-seamer and a slider, and this guy just goes out and you're making him look like his hero, Sandy Koufax, who, by the way, held the record for 230 innings pitched in a season. Nolan Ryan broke it with 236. Imagine if a pitcher ever threw that much now, their arm would fall off and they'd literally never be able to pitch again. So, yeah, he's got a sinker too. So, 4-seamer, slider, curve, and sinker is what got the Marlins all off balance tonight. And, he was able to locate them, throwing for strikes, but he had 4 innings in which the leadoff guy reached base. They had the 6th inning where Lopez ran him out of it. They had their chances in the 9th when Falter was out, and they chased the closer. So the Marlins had their opportunities in this game, and they were just unable to get it done. Jim Greasehaber, call me Grease because of Bailey Falter. So I hope you enjoyed that breakdown from me on Falter. 0-7 versus the Pirates in 24, 1-8 against the Nationals. They had a terrible year against the Rays as well. What can the Marlins do in the nation's capital to reverse the trend against the Nats? What do they need to do to get going this weekend and have success in this series? I'll break that down on the other side. Locked On Marlins postcast. Jim Greasehaber, call me Grease. 3-1 Pirates. The Marlins again with the go-ahead run on base in the 9th inning, unable to get the big hit and make it happen. So what do they need to do in Washington? We'll talk about that on the other side. Locked On Marlins Postcast on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And I can't keep it in anymore. I got to tell you about Prize Picks, America's numero uno daily fantasy sports app. Over 5 million active members with Prize Picks. It's the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps on Prize Picks, it's just you against the numbers. You pick more or you pick less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. And then from there, you just watch the money roll in. They have injury insurance. They put their members first. You get your withdrawals fast, safe, secure. When my picks hit, I can get my money in 15 minutes, a quarter hour. You be balling. You know what I'm saying? And Prize Picks invented the flex play. A lot of people talk about and take credit for it. It's Prize Picks. It means you can still cash out if your lineup isn't perfect. You can double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. For example, I love playing Prize Picks every day. When you're watching the Marlins, you know, you go over or under on certain things, more than one hit, under one hit. You know what I mean? If it's Dolphins, Tyreek Hill for more than 90 receiving yards or one time in handcuffs from the Miami-Dade PD, unbelievable, right? But how about Prize Picks? It is the best way to make daily fantasy sports exciting, fun, get paid, and just enjoy every single game and event that much more. And all you have to do to get involved in the fun and the action, like UFC champ Sugar Sean O'Malley, who's headlining the Sphere Noche fight card this weekend, all you have to do is download the Prize Picks app today. Use the code LOCKEDONMLB. You're going to get $50 right away when you play 5. That's 10X. Gary Breck, Grant Cardone, be proud of that. 10X. Locked On MLB on Prize Picks. That's the code LOCKONMLB to get $50 instantly when you play $5. 10 extra cash. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks. Run your game. All right, Locked On Marlins Postcast. Thank you for making us your first listen today. Now go check out Sully. I say it every day. I ask you in the form of a question. Who is the guy? Well, the answer would be, who is Sully? And the question would be, have you ever met anyone with a particular name that you didn't love watching sports and having a beer with? The answer would be Sully. So go check out the Locked On MLB podcast. Prepare for the Fall Classic with Paul Sullivan, a.k.a. Sully. He's got it covered every day. You can find the link to Locked On MLB in the description, so you don't need to search. How about that? We make it easy for you here at the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. Just to recap, 3-1, Pirates beat the Marlins. Paul Skeens did it in the opener. Today, it was Bailey. I do not falter against the Marlins. Bailey Falter, his first quality start since coming off the IL on August 6th. Of course it comes against your Miami Marlins. Who else would it come against? They're not playing the White Sox or maybe even the Rockies. It's the Marlins. But the Marlins ran themselves out of an inning. The Marlins had some trouble throughout the game. They had leadoff guys on, but Falter constantly pitching his way to contact, pitching his way out of it. Struck out 5, didn't really have a big game there, but the Pirates jumped out in front early, 2 runs in the first off Jonathan Bermudez, making a start for Miami after 2 relief appearances. Bermudez, a bases loaded walk and a fielder's choice, a sacrifice fly, all kinds of things in that inning. Nothing really concrete to get him going. Then Jared Triolo with a solo home run in the second inning made it 3-0, and he had 2 hits to lead the way for the Pirates offense, and that is something I'm changing right now on the fly in the description. So we do on the Locked On Podcast Network. So Bermudez, 3 runs, 3 hits, 2 innings, and had made 2 appearances out of the bullpen prior to today. So not a good outing for him. Look, I mean, the Pirates used 7 relievers yesterday. So for Bailey Falter to do what he did, they only used 3 today, 2/3 of an inning for Holderman, 2/3 of an inning for Bednar. Should have been just him. But Beeks came in to get his 10th save. Bednar's got 23. The Pirates are out of the race. They're done. They're not in it anymore. So you don't need your closer to be there down the stretch. So if you don't like what he's doing and you don't like the matchup, props to them. They took him out. You know what I'm saying? So they did that. And the Pirates in 7 games against the Marlins, they go 7-0. De La Cruz, by the way, the former Marlin, went 0 for 3. And looking at his splits, he's got 4 hits in the last 7 games. And against the Marlins, let's see, he went 1 for 4 on Monday. And let's see. I don't remember what he did yesterday, but he had an 0 for today. But the former Marlins are everywhere, right? What are you going to do? And last year at this time, I said it yesterday, they were clinching the playoff berth on this field in Pittsburgh. You want to know how bad it's been this year for Miami? I have it in the description if you want to see it on YouTube, right? They're 1-8 against Washington this season. They finished 0-7 against Pittsburgh. Against Washington, again, they're 1-8 this year. They're going there for 4 games starting tomorrow. Against Washington, they went 11-2 last year and 15-4 in 2022. What's that? 26-6 over the last 2 years, and this year they're 1-8. There ain't going to be much fun had at this end of the season banquet, I'll tell you that. It's not going to be a night for celebration. Well, this generation probably will. They'll probably have their opponents there hanging out with them. I mean, that's kind of what they do these days, right? So what do we got coming up here? You got the Nats in the 4-gamer. The pitching matchups are all set. You got McCown and Hurst. You got Cabrera and Parker. You got Beozo and Corbin. You got Aller and Gore. So McCown, Cabrera, Beozo, and Aller. They haven't broken the record yet for appearances in a season or number of players to appear. They're 1 away from breaking that. It's the Cubs. So tomorrow's game is at 6:45 p.m. Eastern. We'll be on right after with your Locked On Marlins postcast. Darren McGowan, who doesn't have a win or a loss yet, but he has a 7.4 ERA and a 1.85 WHIP. Wow. And then he's going to face Mitchell Parker, who's 7-9 with a 4.43 for the Natties. So McGowan, this will be his 3rd start. He started 2 in a row, going 8 2/3 innings, allowing 11 hits, 7 runs, 5 earned, 1 walk, 6 strikeouts. Doesn't look pretty, does it? On paper or on the computer screen, I should say. But it's really interesting, and I don't see anything for numbers yet. Usually by the end of the show, we see the numbers. Weather's still on the IL, made the rehab start the other day. Brujan's still on the IL up to September 13th. That's a 10-day. Derek Hill, Weather's a 60-day. Derek Hill, 10-day, September 15th. Braxton Garrett, 60-day, September 17th. Jose Devers, the shortstop, day-to-day, September 12th. So those guys should all be coming back soon, and we don't know what's going to happen there. Maybe they won't get their 70th guy in the lineup this year. But for Miami and Washington, it's, they have about the same team batting average. The Nats have scored about 50 more runs. The Marlins have more homers. I mean, they have similar team ERAs. It's really crazy. And the Marlins in their last 5, they lost 3 of them. And so have the Nats. So they're both coming in pretty similar, even in a lot of ways. Neither team all that good. And there are no odds up yet for the game. So sorry to help you. I can't help you out there yet with FanDuel, but keep checking back on FanDuel and you'll see the odds probably very soon up there. All right, 3-1 the final. Bailey Falters the win for Pittsburgh, and a nice day for the Pirates. They finish off the season sweep of the Marlins 7-0. And how about this, okay? The first time the Pirates have ever swept a season series against any team 7 games or more. And so now it's on to Washington, where they're 1-8. This is just going from bad to worse. Falter the win 8-7. Bermudez the loss 0-1. Beeks the save 10. 2 hits and an RBI for Pache, and that's it for Miami. Bermudez 3 earned runs in 2 innings. McMillan, no innings. Curry did a good job today. I have to mention him. If I don't mention Xavier Curry, that's a real bright spot for the Marlins today. 4 2/3 innings, 2 hits, no runs, 3 strikeouts. For him, Lake Bacher, a third of an inning, and Declan Cronin, an inning. Both those guys went scoreless too. So the pen does it again, but it was too late, and they could not come through with the big inning, the big hit, the big anything, as has been the case all year. That's all there is, Fish fans. There is no more. Your Locked On Marlins postcast on your Wednesday, September 11th. Shout out to all the people who lost their lives, all the responders who went and saved people and helped people, then lost their lives, all the people who have protected us and the things that have been done since then. One more time, PSA, let's try to remember what it was like if you were around. And if you were and then someone wasn't, and tell them what it was like. People were loving on each other. People were taking care of each other. Let's keep that spirit, right? We will never forget that day, 9/11, and we will never forget this season for the Marlins. The Pirates finish it up 7-0 against Miami this season, and now it's on to Washington 6:40 first pitch tomorrow. Tomorrow, you're only a day away. 3-1 the final at Washington tomorrow. Postcast after the game. 6:40 start tomorrow night. Keep your game tight and your mind right, Marlins fans. We are out.